What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, I want to speak on Dame Dash and how it's just looking more and more like Dame Dash is, like he's falling from grace. He's going through some things, and I think in the process, I think what's happening with Dame Dash is like some of the hypocrisy that Dame Dash has like is getting exposed. His hypocrisy is really excuse me, is really getting exposed, right? And I was listening to Hip Hop News Uncensored, right? And they kind of said the same thing, right? They kind of really pointed out that how his, like I said, his hypocrisy is getting exposed. So what I want to do is I want to play some audio from the two guys from Hip Hop News Uncensored, and I want to come back and comment on it. So here we go with the audio from there.
When you look at the move, it couldn't be more pathetic, but it's tough talking about Dame now because this dude has fell so far from grace. It is absolutely pathetic, man. And the hypocrisy that he comes with, it pisses you off a little bit. But when you look at the move, it couldn't be more pathetic, couldn't be more hypocritical, couldn't be more pussy, it couldn't be less Harlem. So it's just so completely opposite of what Dame Dash supposedly represents and what he's supposed to be out here putting his name on and being a boss. I ain't no boss to sue for defamation when y'all was going tit for tat up there on an interview. Y'all was going at each other. I thought it was men doing men shit, but apparently not, man.
He's salty right now, and he's in a situation that doesn't look good for his image. So now he's trying to rectify that. But we all see it. It's like you bleeding out and telling me you're okay. Like you're bleeding out, dog. White man's hospital. And then I like how he tried to use he tried to use he used the whole race bait thing to flip in and talk about how they interview white guests. And like, you're not as cunning as you think you are, Dame Dash.
At all. That's a hurt individual right there. That looked like somebody that lost the fight and they doing everything they can to prove that they won that shit. But when you look at
All right, so and I think, in my opinion, the whole thing about Dame Dash is, I think a lot of people from the very beginning knew that Dame Dash was that he was kind of hypocritical, right? But when you have money and you sitting on top, people kind of look past that, and then because some people really get blinded because they want to know like how you got in a position that that you're in. And then so you're able to you know you're able to tell people some things that people really can, otherwise they would see that the things are not true. And so what happened with Dame Dash, I think, is his arrogance. He bought into his own arrogance, right? And the fact that he bought into his own arrogance is what took him down, because from the very beginning, Dame Dash was burning bridges. He was, he was talking to people any kind of way. He was, just treating people like real greasy. And he burned bridges. And in all businesses, you have peaks and valleys. And then when your business start to go down, or you hit a valley, that's when all the wolves come out. Then that's when people start to see you differently, and that's when the fact that some of the things you say are hypocritical. That's when things like that get exposed. So I'm not surprised, and I think that Dame Dash just made so many different enemies along the way, enemies that you don't need. Sometimes you have enemies that you don't even realize you have. That's why a lot of rich people, they try to keep a low profile, because believe it or not, like the more money that you have, the more people that's going to come after you. You have people who are above you who's going to come after you. Then you have people who are, I mean, it's coming from everywhere. Women, like he fell way behind as far as like on his child support, you know. And I think that he even had to, he had to pay her once they his first wife, when they split up. So I would recommend that people, anybody, not just people who had the kind of money that he had, or the kind of fame that he had, just really, you got to stay focused, because people think that, once you get that kind of money, that the race is over. You get to sit there and talk stuff, and you think that you have a larger margin of error than what you really have. People, like I said, you are a target. So you have to stay, protect yourself at all times. Like they say in boxing, protect yourself at all times. And they ain't bought into the stuff that he was saying. He bought into his own hype. And now he's out here doing podcasts and saying everything, or anything that he had to say in order to be on these podcasts, in order to stay relevant. Now, before he was doing all those podcasts and stuff like this, and interviews on everybody's show, he was telling people that, calling people chatty patties and stuff like that, you know. But now you just recently seen him on, who was he on? He's on the Breakfast Club, right? That interview didn't go very well. And the interview, the last time he was on an interview on Breakfast Club, that interview didn't really age well. The one where he was telling the guys that, his kids don't work for people. He teach his son how to be independent, right? And not to have a job. Now, people are looking at him like, you're not doing all that good. And all the bridges that he's burnt from his early days at Rockefeller, he can't call on those guys and, do any type of business with each other. So it's really not. It is, his hypocrisy is being shown, and I think that it's just a lesson learned. Like when you look at this whole situation with Dame Dash, it's a lesson learned how to move. Once you get money, and if you think that you have made it, you think that you can talk to people any kind of way, it it's not like that. And the guys from and these guys from Hip Hop News Uncensored really just points it out. In my opinion, they really just point all this stuff out. Dame Dash now, every time I turn around, he's on this show. I forgot what's the name of this podcast he's always doing. I don't think it's I forgot. I don't want to say the wrong name, but he's always giving interviews. Yeah, and so now the thing is, look to see if Dame Dash can really, if he can really rebuild his business, his empire, and get back at least close to where he was. That's the thing, because a lot of times we are not as independent as we think we are. And if people don't want to do business with you, it's kind of hard to make money independently. Business is about relationships, and that's one thing that Dame Dash, he didn't recognize that early on. They had a good thing over, at Rockefeller Records, and his attitude, his arrogance is what really brought that down and put him in the situation that he was. And he pissed off a lot of people. Now he can't do business with these people. He's always beefing. So he has really reduced himself to somebody who is just, he really just got to go around and be exactly what he said he didn't want, what he criticized other people for being. And that's a chatty patty, talking about anything and everything that he can do in order to in the generation of income, which some people do, go around doing interviews and make a living at that, which is not bad. But to criticize people for doing that, and then you're doing that yourself, I just think it's hypocritical. And so, yeah, that's my take. But it's a lesson to be learned, in my opinion, to just to stay focused and don't unnecessarily burn bridges with people. Be careful about the way the way you treat people. Even Jim Jones said the same thing. He said that Dame Dash, the way he treated people is coming back to, it's coming back to bite him. And so you can't treat people and burn bridges, just can't mistreat people and burn bridges and think that it's going to pay off in the long run. It don't work like that. So lesson learned, just for people to keep that in mind. Uh, Anybody can really learn from watching, the things that Dame Dash are going through. But that's my take on it. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment, and I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.